With the spiritual awakening, with the work that we do, what we do is we give you a key. So we go, here's the key, we show you how to use the key, and then we give you an experience of who you are. And all of that in one session. So by the time you walk out of that session, you've got this thing that you can take with you into the world, and you can keep tapping back into who you really are. And it also allows you to know what that is. I mean, there's so many people who follow spiritual paths or follow these self-development gurus, and all the time they're trying to figure out who they are. I promise you now, you will never figure out who you are. Who you are is the person that's sitting in the room right now. You can't be anything other than what you are right now, but it's buried deep underneath layers and layers and layers of self-doubt and anxieties and fears and all the traps and labels and things that have been put on top of you. So at the end of the day, all we want to do is we want to give you the key, and we want to say to you, that's what freedom feels like. And then you get to choose. With non-dual therapy and with the approach to therapy that we're looking at doing here now, is that we're trying to get you back in touch with your original self. So the underlying you that sits inside of all of us all of the time. So if you look at somebody who has a child, and it's very easy to see when you do have a child, when a baby is born, like who you are is born in that moment. So you see a child born, and a parent specifically really can easily see straight away that that's who you are. That's the little person that's come to the world, and your energy and your persona and everything that you are comes vibrantly into the world. And then what happens is, as we start to age and as we start to grow, more and more pressures get pushed on top of us, and it starts to hem us in and close us in, until eventually you get to that place where you're so trapped by your environment and so trapped by the thoughts and the programs in your mind that you're constantly banging up against the doors of a cage all of the time. Our childhood tends to define us, and the problem with that is that as much as it defines us, it's not a true reflection of who we are. It's not a reflection of who we were born to be. And in order to undo all of that programming, all of that conditioning that's done to us by our friends, our family, our education, our society, in order to release all of that stuff and to get back to who you really are, is an impossibly big task if you tackle it with Western psychology or the therapies that most of us have access to. So what we're looking for is we're looking for a shortcut, a way to get back in touch with who you are, so that from that place you can start to learn to live your life the way that you were meant to live it. We're so happy to throw labels on ourselves when it's emotional stuff, and for me that's not really true. Like who we are is not this label or that label or this idea or that idea, and we get trapped by those labels and those ideas, and then we lose sight of who we really are, and it stops us from being able to connect with the people that really matter. It stops us from being able to follow our dreams, to pursue the things that we're meant to be doing in the world. And we live these tiny little hemmed-in experiences of our life, and that creates huge amounts of pressure. It's kind of like pressure cookering your entire life. Like here you are, and they put the lid on you, and they tell you how to conform, and they tell you who you're supposed to be. And the more you grow, and the more you try to do the things that are good for you, the more you feel the edges of that container, and all you want to do is break out. So what we do with the awakening is that we show you where the door is. We give you the out, and it is amazing to watch. So right now you're sitting there and you're watching this, and you have an idea of who you are, and that's the trap. The fact that you believe that you're this kind of person or that kind of person, the good and the bad, whatever it is that you think you are, who you believe you are, it is a shadow compared to who you really are and what you're really capable of. So at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to find a way to help you remember who you are, and then learn how to bring that into the world. So what happens with an awakening is that we give you the key to free yourself from suffering. So the anxiety, the pain, the fear that you walk into the session with isn't there, or doesn't have that same hold on you when you leave. So what a session looks like is that you'll come in, the session's about an hour and a half, and you'll sit and we'll talk. And the first thing we'll do is we're trying to figure out, why is it that you're here? Why is it that you decided on this day to come and make this choice? What are the things that pushed you into this space? Whether it's your worries, your fears, your doubts about the future. What are the struggles that you're going through? And then we start to go, well, who do those struggles belong to? What what is that? Are those your struggles? Are those struggles that were given to you by your parents, by your family situation? Like, what's yours and what isn't yours? And then we eventually start to go, well, who are you? Where is the real you? Where is the essential you? And in the session, we just strip away the layers of the things that aren't you in order to point you in the direction of who you really are. But that doesn't help. That's philosophy, that's just ideas. And those things are nice and they're entertaining to the mind, but they don't free you. What frees you is that once you've had that experience, we sit face to face and I'll guide you into an experience of who you really are. We will talk and we will explore and we will try to find exactly where you are, and I will point and point and point until eventually we find that place inside of you where the true you exists. And once you find that, and once you've seen it, and once you know where it exists, you can never forget that. And that anchors you to who you really are, and that is where freedom begins. That is where freedom begins and ends, because it's in that connection to yourself that you will find everything that you're looking for. I think a lot of people are afraid of what happens when you become truly free. And so what I want more than anything else is just to share this idea, to say, just come and try it. You know, I'd much rather live in a world with 7 billion people who are absolutely, truly free, absolutely connected to who they are and who they're meant to be, than in a world of people who are hemmed in and controlled and manipulated and shoved into boxes in order to serve some sort of idea of how we think the world should be, rather than the paradise that I think that it can be. So if anything I've said reaches any part of you and you can feel that you want what it is that's sitting there embedded in who you are, please reach out. Please just send me an email or get all of us on the website. Book a session. It can change your life.